Also, on your previous advice, I'm so sorry to cut you off. On your previous advice, a quote that I live by, Sun Tzu said, in the midst of chaos also lies opportunity. I think about that every day. And whether it's, the military did the same thing for me, some of my mistakes in my previous life, catastrophe allowed me to become, much more successful. So I really like that advice, adapt, innovate.
Yeah. Markets work in cycles, right? And you almost have to be a contrarian thinker. When times are the worst, that's when the best buying opportunities are, right? And that's why like people always get it backwards. They buy when things are hot and heavy, but everything in this world cycles. Like we're in the midst of a bear market right now in the crypto industry, but gosh, the opportunity set is the biggest that I've seen.
David, you got anything to add to my podcast?
I'm just letting you go because, when we're talking about bear markets and crashes and 08, it's your world, man. You're a doom and gloom guy.
I'm not doom and gloom. I'm contrarian. Everybody right now is super, like you said, except for crypto. And, people are a little bit scared about the stock market. But in general, I think right now everybody's very, very, very confident, outstandingly confident. And yeah, I'm like, oh, well, the end is near. And then when people... I remember from 08 till about 2012, I couldn't have a single conversation, and maybe it's just the people I was around, but I couldn't have a single conversation with somebody without them complaining about the economy. And that lasted 4 years. And so now we're like in a technical recession and bear market and all these things, but there's no pain. Nobody's sad or scared yet. So I remain doom and gloom. And then when things really hit the fan, I'm going to do exactly what Chris does. I'm like, the opportunity is abundant, you guys. Like, I'm so optimistic. Now is the time to strike.
Chris, tell us about your veterans in crypto.
Yeah, well, it really starts with something called Veterans on Wall Street. And so, look, right after the crisis that Alex loves to talk about, the world came down on the banks, and they really didn't like us. I remember I was watching the Obama State of the Union address, and I saw that Democrats and Republicans only agreed on two things. They thought that veterans were good and banks were really bad. This is right around 2008, 2009, right? And it's hard to get our government to agree on anything, but they agreed on those two things. And I thought about my own story. I'm like, gosh, like finance has provided me a lot of opportunity. And after all the excesses that we saw, I'm guessing that more veterans in our space would do the finance industry a lot of good. So let's bring veterans onto Wall Street, right? And I think it would be good for vets, and I think it would be good for Wall Street. And so we brought together all of our peers, all of we would never like cooperate with our competition like the other banks, but we brought them all together. We went to Citi Field. We said, guys, let's share best practices. And this thing called Veterans on Wall Street was born, or VOWS. Didn't love the name, couldn't think of anything better. That was Deutsche Bank's name. We said, all right, we'll use the name. And then this incredible thing happened where over the next 10 years, we raised $15 million for vets. We had an annual symposium. We continue to do it. There's a guy named Diego Rubio who's looking after it now from Wells Fargo. We were able to extend our membership to like a couple hundred firms, banks, and we were able to touch, I think, thousands of people. We would have annual symposiums. We'd have standing members of cabinet members and secretaries of various services come in. We would really train. What we do is we'd bring vets in the morning, and we bring hiring managers in the afternoon, so we could teach both sides how to get jobs and how to find careers. So that was an awesome initiative. We had a great partnership with the Bob Woodward Foundation on that. And so when I left finance behind, I knew that we had a really good model. And again, like the crypto industry, love it to death. But my thesis is that if we could have more veterans in the space, again, there's incredible opportunity. It's good for crypto. It's good for vets. And so got together with a couple of buddies, and we launched something called Veterans in Digital Assets, or VITA, which also means life. We have a Discord. I'd love to give you the contact for the Discord. We want more community members to come involved. I think we've got around 500 community members. And the greatest thing about this, and it's in keeping with the crypto ethos, is it's decentralized, right? I'm not the boss of it. I'm not in charge of it. I don't want to be. I want the community to drive it. And it's doing just that. It's been fascinating and so happy. Like it's been evolving so magically. So a bunch of community members got together and they're like, hey, we're going to start some in real life events. They hosted one in San Diego. We just had one in DC. And again, like really touching folks' lives, touching veterans' lives by helping them identify opportunities in Web3, which has just been fantastic. So, and like what people don't get is that if you're a veteran and you want to get into this thing we call Web3, and I can describe what I mean by Web3 here in a second, but there are jobs everywhere, everywhere. My company alone, we're a venture capital firm. We have portfolio companies. There are hundreds and hundreds of jobs that we're looking to hire for within our portfolio. Not all of them have to be, engineers and computer scientists. There's plenty of them that are non-technical. So that's something that we thought we can make a big difference. And so we launched Vita. And I also have, I don't want to compete with you guys, but I have a small podcast called the Vita Podcast that we do where we feature prominent veterans in the space, which has been a lot of fun.
David and I haven't been on it.
Well, let's get you into crypto. Let's get you into crypto. Then you come on to my podcast.
Yeah, I don't think I could speak articulately about anything that podcast covers. But if you get us that Discord link, we will absolutely drop it in the show notes for the show.
I would like to give a shout out to one of our listeners, a guy named Austin Clark. He is a young fella, military, real ambitious, doing real well on YouTube. So he's got like a brand identity that's growing, and he is hard on crypto and he's learning a lot, spending a lot of time in it. So maybe he's somebody I can introduce you to.
I would love it. Let's get you on the podcast and I'd love to help.
Love that.
Yeah, his channel has grown real quick. He's up to 11,700 subscribers as of right now. He did a SkillBridge internship for me for 5 months on his last 5 months in the Army. And when he started that internship, he was under 1,000 subscribers, and that started in October. So in a year, he's almost half of my subscribers in the last 4 years. So yeah, he's doing really well because he had a crypto video take off, and he was like, I'm going to just lay into crypto, and it's done very well for him. Cool kid.